Israel, Bagala, Bagala, Uvizman Kariv, Vimmeru, Amen. Yeshme Rabba Mevorach, Le'alam Ulam Me'almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei dekudisha b'richu le'alam min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damiram b'alma v'immeru. Amen. 146. Lie, la, lie, 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 lie. Lie, la, lie, 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 lie. Lie, la, lie, 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 lie. Lie, la, lie, 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 lie. Ya, la, lie, 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 lie. Ya, la, lie, 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 lie. Ya, la, lie, 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 lie. Ya, la, lie, 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 lie. Baruch hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach. HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. HaMevorach. HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. Together in the middle of 147. Adonai, your majesty is proclaimed by the marvels of earth and sky. Sun, moon, and stars testify to your power and wisdom. Day follows day in endless succession, and the years vanish, but your sovereignty endures. Though all things pass, let not your glory depart from us. Help us to become co-workers with you and endow our fleeting days with abiding worth. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'ma'ariv Aravim. In each age we receive and transmit Torah. At each moment we are addressed by the world. In each age we are challenged by our ancient teaching. At each moment we stand face to face with truth. In each age we add our wisdom to that which has gone before. At each moment the knowing heart is filled with wonder. In each age the children of Torah become its builders and seek to set the world firm on a foundation of truth. Baruch atah Adonai, Oheb Amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Yevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. You may be seated. Page 150. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavcha uvechol nafshecha uvechol meodecha v'hayu advarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'veitecha uvlechtecha v'derech uvshochbecha uvkumecha ukshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu lototafot beinenecha uchtavtam al mizuzot beitecha uvisharecha Leman tizkiru, v'yasitem et kol mitzvotai, v'yitem kiddoshim leloheichem. Ani Adonai Elohechem, asher chotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim, liot lachem lelohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem, Adonai Elohechem emet. Responsively on page 151. We worship the power that unites the universe, a promise of harmony for all. Yet that oneness eludes our grasp as imperfection and evil abound. Before our eyes there is a vision of perfection, order, and goodness. There is evil enough to break the heart. There is good enough to exalt the soul. When will redemption come? When we grant everyone what we claim for ourselves. Long ago, we escaped the tyranny of Egypt. Our people saw the power of the Most High. We learned God's presence redeems time and event, so we celebrate this power that makes for freedom. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, norat tehiloto seifele, Nora tehilot sefele, malchutecha ra'uvanecha, bokei ayam lifnei Moshe. Ze Elianu ve'amru, Ze Elianu ve'amru, Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed. Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed. Yai lai lai, yai la 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 lai, yai lai lai lai, yai la 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 lai, yai lai la lai lai, yai la 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 lai, yai la lai lai, yai la 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 lai. V'ne'emar ki fada Adonai et Yaakov, u'go'olo miyad chazak mimenu. Baruch ata Adonai, Ga'al Yisrael. The middle of 153 together. Give us a place to rest, O God. Shelter us in the long, soft evening shadows of your truth. You are true protection and safety. In your presence we find love and acceptance. Watch over us as we go forth. Prepare for us as we return. Spread over us your shelter of peace, over all we love, over our Jerusalem and yours. Baruch ata Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim. On page 154. Yismechu ve'malechutecha, Shomrei, 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 Shabbat Bekorei, Oneg Shabbat, Yismechu ve'malechutecha, Shomrei, 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 Shabbat Bekorei, Oneg Shabbat. Mekadashei, Mekadashei Shavi Shabbat. Kulam yisbehu, v'yitangu mitu v'cha Shabbat, yismechu v'malechutecha, shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'korei, oneg Shabbat, yismechu v'malechutecha, Shomrei, 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 Shabbat Bekorei, Oneg Shabbat. V'hashvi'i ratzita bo v'kidashto Shabbat. Chemdad yamim, oto karata Shabbat. Yismechu v'malechutecha, Shomrei, 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 Shabbat Bekorei, Oneg Shabbat, Yismechu v'malechutecha, shomrei, shomrei, shomrei Shabbat v'korei oneg Shabbat. Zecher lemase v'reishit Shabbat. Zecher lemase v'reishit Shabbat. Yismechu v'malechutecha, shomrei, shomrei, shomrei Shabbat v'korei oneg Shabbat. Yismechu v'malechutecha, shomrei, shomrei, shomrei Shabbat v'korei oneg Shabbat. We turn to the Tefillah section of our service, the oldest section of our service, starting on page 155. And once again, if you are able, I invite you to rise. Adonai sifatai tiftach, ufi agi tehilatecha. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'konei HaKol, Zocher Chastei Avot V'imahot, Umevi Gula Livnei V'neihem, Leman Shemo B'Yahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'ezrat Sarah, Ata gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh hakol ata Rav lehoshia, Morid hatal, Mechalkel chaim bechesed, Mechayeh hakol berachamim rabim, Somech noflim ve'rofech olim, Umatir asurim, umekayem emunato, lishenei afar, micha mocha b'givurot, umidom elach, melech memit umechaye, umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman nata l'chayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, mechayeh hakol. Ata kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kdoshim b'chol yom yelalucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh. Please be seated. Top of page 160, we read together. Our God and God of our ancestors, be pleased with our rest. Sanctify us with your mitzvot, and grant us a share in your Torah. Satisfy us with your goodness, and gladden us with your salvation. Purify our hearts to serve you in truth. In your gracious love, Adonai our God, grant as our heritage your holy Shabbat, that Israel, who sanctifies your name, may rest on it. Praise to you, Adonai, who sanctifies Shabbat. Baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh ha-Shabbat. V'tzei Adonai Eloheinu b'amcha Yisrael. Be gracious, Adonai our God, to your people Israel, and receive our prayers with love. May our worship always be acceptable to you. Fill us with the knowledge that you are near to all those who seek you in truth. On to the next page. Let our eyes behold your presence in our midst, in the midst of our people in Zion. Blessed is Adonai, who presence renews Zion. Baruch atah Adonai, hamachazir shchinato l'Tzion. For the good in us which calls us to a better life, we give thanks. For the strength to improve the world with our hearts and our hands, we offer praise. For the desire in us which leads us to work for peace, we are grateful. For life and nature, harmony and beauty, for the hope of tomorrow, all praise to the source of being. For all these things, O Sovereign, let your name be forever praised and blessed. O God, our Redeemer and Helper, let all who live affirm you and praise your name in truth. Blessed are you, Adonai. Your name is goodness, and you are worthy of thanksgiving. Baruch atah Adonai, atov shimcha, ulecha na'eh lehodot. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha, tasim leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha, tasim leolam. Ki atahu melech adon, lechol hashalom. Ki atahu melech adon, lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha, tasim leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha, tasim leolam. Veto be'enecha levarech et amcha Yisrael bechol eit ubechol shah bishlomecha. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha, tasim leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha, tasim leolam. Tasim leolam. Praise to you, Adonai, who blesses your people with peace. Baruch atah Adonai, hamvarech et amo Yisrael b'shalom. We pause for a few moments of personal prayer. Ose shalom bimromav, huya ase shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen. Ose shalom bimromav, huya ase shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen. Ose shalom bimromav, huya Ya'aseh Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru Amen. Oseh Shalom bimromav Ya'aseh Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru Amen. So first, I want to say thank you for being here tonight. I wasn't sure whether or not we were going to have enough people for a service because with the holidays coming up on Monday night, I didn't know if everybody was preemptively getting serviced out, and so therefore decided would not come tonight. So thank you. I was thinking about some of the interesting practices that different parts of the Jewish community have for the upcoming holidays, for Rosh Hashanah. But before I go into some of those specifics, are there particular traditions that anybody has in their family for Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur? Not a trick question. For doing. There has to be a good meal the evening of. The evening of has to be a good meal. Anything in particular in that meal? It changes year to year. Okay. I was going to say if you're at our house for Rosh Hashanah lunch, it's the same menu every year because it works really well when when you're the one of the people running the service. Right. Anybody else? Well, there's a couple of simple ones that nobody's mentioned. Oh, apples and honey, right? And do you know one of the reasons why they chose apples? Because this is the harvest season in most of Eastern Europe, the Eastern European area. Why did they choose the apple per se? Besides the fact that they were fresh? Well, we're told that there's actually a tie to the fact that each different type of apple has a different texture to it, and therefore sweetness, we are supposed to be reminded that sweetness comes in many different ways, the same way as there are many different tastes, many different textures to different kinds of apples. So too is there sweetness in the new year. Like it, don't like it, I didn't make it up. So we've got the apples and honey, and what about the challah? The round. The round is the traditional one we see. Although there are some communities who do things a little bit differently. I have seen there have been some where they actually make it into the challah into a ladder. Why? Because on Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, we are hoping that our prayers will go heavenward, and so by, in a sense, building the ladder, we're trying to instruct them on how to go. I'm not sure exactly what it means that we then eat the ladder, but that's a completely different question. I also know that there are a couple of communities more in the Sephardic world who will actually use the shape of a fish as the shape of their challah. Because there is a tradition that says you always want to be at the head and not at the tail, right? And so by making the fish, you start eating it from the head to the tail. In some communities, I know I lived with the family for a little while, a Libyan family, and one of the things they did on Rosh Hashanah was the first thing everybody got was not gefilte fish, wasn't matzah ball soup. On Rosh Hashanah, you got a fish head, right? Now that was long before eating the cheeks of an animal became really, really big and really fancy. But it was this concept of we want to make sure that you're all at the head and not at the tail. And so you started your meal in such a way. But we were meant to remind ourselves of, in a sense, to eat out what we're hoping for the holidays, that we should have a good sweet new year, and that as we do so, as you dip your apples in honey, as you have your challah, whichever way you do it, and I'm not even going to start the debate on with raisins or without raisins, because we're Jews, and the answer is we can have it both ways. But there are plenty of traditions that exist. But as you do them this year, just stop and think a moment and take a moment as you're going through them to appreciate them, to think about what their real intent is, and maybe they'll mean just a little bit more to it. Let's turn to the words of Aleinu, the middle of page 282, and I will invite you to rise. Aleinu lishabeach ladon hakol, latet gidula leotze bereshit, shelo asanu kikaye haratot, velo samanu kimishpechot hadama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, vegor aleinu kechol hamonam. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. The top of 285. Let the time not be distant, O God, when all shall turn to you in love, when corruption and evil shall give way to integrity and goodness, when superstition shall no longer enslave the mind, or idolatry blind the eye. O may all created in your image become one in spirit and one in friendship, forever united in your service. Then shall your realm be established on earth, the word of your prophet fulfilled. Adonai will reign forever and ever. V'ne'emar v'haya Adonai l'melech al kol ha'aretz bayom hahu yeh Adonai echad u'shemo Ushemo echad. We now think of our loved ones, those whom death has recently taken from us, and those who died at the season in years past, and all of those we have drawn into our hearts as our own. On this Shabbat, we recall the name of Stuart Cohn, who's in his Shloshim period, the first 30 days since the time of his death. And to his name we link those whose yardsticks, the anniversary of whose death, falls at this time of year. So we remember Bessie Babbitt, Sidney Bratt, Max Capel, Lawrence Diamond, Lawrence E. Frank, Albert Freed, Zita Goldstein, Anna Kahn, Julius Kahn, Jan Lefkowitz, Frederick P. Pokras, Marcia Saltpeter, Vivian Schachter, Sylvia Schiff, Rhoda Small, Cynthia N. Thune, Jane M. Tooker, David Wax, Diane Walker, Bertha Whiteson. Zichronam Livracha. May the names of each of those we have called out loud and each of those we hold in our hearts forever be a blessing. We turn to the words of Mourner's Kaddish, page 294. Yitgadal v'yitchadash shemei Rabbah, v'yalma divrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon, v'chaye dechol Beit Yisrael, v'agalau v'zman kari v'imru. Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach leolam ulal me'al maya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yithaleh v'yithalal shemeid kudisha b'richu, la'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, damiran b'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'yimru. Amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'yimru. Amen. May there be abundant peace from heaven, and life for us, for all Israel and all the world, for which we say, Amen. Turning from words that sanctify memory to words that sanctify Shabbat, we turn to Kiddush, back on page 5 if you need the words. And don't have any kids today to call up. Oh, doesn't often happen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu b'shabbat kodsho v'arba uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron lemaseh v'reishi Yehu yom techila L'mikra'e kodesh, zecher letziat Mitzrayim, kivanu v'chata, v'yotanu kidashta, mikol hamim, v'shabbat Kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat. And over our challah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Please be seated. Just a few quick announcements on this Erev Shabbat. First of all, this is a busy weekend. There are lots of things that are going on. Sunday will be a cake baking day for the food festival. There are 2 shifts, one in the morning, one in the afternoon. Bruce, do you need more help in the morning or the afternoon? We're all set. Wow. I don't know how many times you've said that to me during the course. That's fantastic. So if you're doing that, please remember, Monday night there's some small thing going on, New Year, something like that. I figure if I live in denial, maybe it won't happen. But we do welcome Rosh Hashanah. We do welcome Rosh Hashanah. Monday evening services are at 8 o'clock. That will be followed by a beautiful oneg that is being put on by the sisterhood and the board. We hope that you will join us. Rosh Hashanah morning services start at 10 a.m. And then later on that Tuesday afternoon. 4 o'clock, we have the annual family service. And then at 5:30, we get together with Kesher Zion and do our Tashlik service over at the Reading Public Museum. You can either bring your own bread to cast off your own sins, or if you need them, I'll have sins for you that you are more than welcome to take in. The other thing I often remind people is, yes, you will show up and there's going to be a big sign that says, don't feed the ducks, right? We get permission once a year for religious reasons to feed the ducks. So don't worry, we're not breaking the law. Next Friday night, Shabbat Shuvah, is the opportunity for us to use some of the high holiday melodies as part of our Shabbat service. I hope you will come and join me for that. That's 7:45. And then on Shabbat morning, we have our first learners service of the year, where we call it a service, but it's usually more of a service conversation, meaning we start the service, we go through and we stop and talk about things as we go through the service. Sometimes we get through a significant amount of service. Most of the time we don't, because there's a lot of conversation going back and forth, and it's a really interesting opportunity, so we'll hope you'll join us for that. Then that Sunday morning, that Sunday afternoon, the 28th, is the annual cemetery service. It is traditional between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur to go out to the cemetery to visit those we have lost. And so we do a short but nice little service together as a community. That's at 1 o'clock on the 28th. I think that's basically, no, Bruce? You'll excuse the repetition, but for anybody who's watching online who would not have been able to hear Bruce, if you have not gotten your names in for the Yizkor book, shame on you. You should have gotten them in already. But if you would still like to get them in, please on Monday make sure you call the office to get your family's names in the memorial book for Yom Kippur. We really do need to get that finished and put to bed so it will be ready on time for Yom Kippur afternoon. Slichot was actually last week. It was early this year because there is a requirement for the Slichot service, which is the kind of the official start to the high holiday season. There has to be 3 days between Slichot and the beginning of Rosh Hashanah. Don't ask me why. That's just what the rules are. So when you don't have 3 days in between, you actually move it back a week. This was one of those years where we moved it back a week, which is why our Torah covers have already been changed to white. Because we have already passed Slichot. So let's end with, was there a question? So let's end with Adon Olam, page 321. Adon Olam asher malach, b'terem kol yitzir nivra, Le'et nasa b'chepsachol, azai melech shemo nikra ve'acharei kichlot hakol, ve'yado yimloch nora, v'hu haya v'hu over, v'hu yihye b'tifara, v'hu echad ve'en sheni. להמשילו להכבירה, בלי ראשית, בלי תכלית, ולא העוז והמזרע, והוא עלי, וחי גואלי, בצור חבלי בעת צרה, והוא ניסי ומנוס לי, מנת כוסי ביום אקרא בידו, אפקיד רוחי, בעת תישן והעירה, ואם רוחי גביעתי, אדוני לי ולא אירא. Shabbat Shalom.